Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to another episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I'm your host, Joe the Panther, the third. Boom, you make it up to 11 because it's Joe. Man, today is an awesome day, and it's a new day. Yes, it is, because it's Wednesday. Wednesday's day. Hump day. Awkward. But now, today, I have a young lady that she's doing big things in the indies right now. Introduce yourself to my internationally known audience.
My name is Destiny Haze, based out of New York.
Awesome. So, who trained you?
So I was trained. I'm training at the Fallout Shelter, which is based out of Brooklyn, New York. Our trainers include Masha Slamovich, Akira, Steve Pena, Jorge Santi, Colossal Mike Law, Prince Ahmed, and Ref Steve Dumaine.
Ooh, wow, you have a lot of awesome people. And actually,
Yeah.
Masha Slamovich is a former Dudes at Ringside guest. So, when you
Oh,
go
cool.
back to school, tell Masha, dude, Joe Panther the Third says hi. So with all those awesome hands in the pot making the awesome salad that you are in the wrestling right now,
hmm
whose advice, like which advice have you taken the most with your wrestling career?
I would probably say, honestly, all of them, since they just like bring so much to like so many different things, you kind of just like take all their little advice for certain things. So it's like maybe if you're thinking more about like, let's say grappling, you take like certain advice. Sometimes I'll take from like Akira, or like, if you're talking about like selling, I'll take that some advice from like Santi, or if it's like promos and like ring presence and stuff like that, it'll come from like Mike Law or like different things like that. So just different people's advice on certain things kind of click. um a lot of times I feel like Akira and Masha's advice also stick a lot with me too, just because I train with them a lot. So yeah.
Okay, let's go back.
Okay.
What were you thinking the first time you walked in the doors for the first time you ever went to training?
So actually, my first training was back in 2018 for about a month. Or 2019, I think. I trained under um, Santana for a month, and that was very like nerve wracking. I will say, it was like an open house, and at the time I was the only girl at the open house, I believe. Eventually, my friend had joined too, but yeah, it was very nerve wracking sometimes, and it got to me a little bit, but it's something that like I always wanted to do. So it definitely meant a lot to me. But after like a month, I stopped and I focused on school. So then when I did go back to training again, that like it was definitely nerve wracking again, because it's like, okay, like you're getting back into wrestling, and you're just like, you don't know how it's going to be. It's obviously not going to be the same as last time, but um the Fallout is obviously like a really great place, and they were so welcoming. So like that first day, you're when you sign up there, they give you the chance to kind of just like watch and see if that's somewhere you want to train. And that day, I actually got in the ring, and that same day, I paid, and I was like, all right, I'm here to stay. So yeah, they were very welcoming, and they've just been my home ever since.
Wow, that's awesome. Like to like think that has it clicked in your head that you and a bunch of the other ones right now in the indies are the future of the independent wrestling world?
Um, like kind of, but at the same time, like no. Like I always think in my head, like in the future I want to go here, and in the future I want to do this, and in the future. But it's like a lot of the people I'm with, or I'm training with, or I'm wrestling around, or friends that I have are gonna be like the future of independent wrestling, or just wrestling in general. And it kind of is like, wow, that's pretty cool to think about.
Awesome. So, what was your energy like the first time you ever went through the curtain for your very first match?
It was it was very nerve wracking. I didn't know that I was gonna wrestle that day either. Um, but luckily I got to wrestle somebody who I had like started from the beginning with. So it definitely felt a lot better about that. Like it's someone, her name is Jordy Lee. Uh, we started training at the same time. It's like a pairing that people have wanted to see for a while when it comes to like the Fallout and Battle Club. So when they told me like, oh, like you're gonna wrestle Jordy, I'm like, okay, that makes me feel a lot better just because this is someone that I know and have known for a long time and have like trained with and like just right. I was like very nervous. I was like my first match, like I was kind of a little bit all over the place, but as soon as I like got behind the curtain, I'm like, okay, you got this, you got this. And then like as soon as I stepped through, I'm just like, okay, game face. And it was, after that, I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel less and less nervous with each match after that.
That's good because like most people go to the like they're about to make that mark and go through the curtain, and it's like they they get their gear on, they're getting ready to do their
Mm-hmm.
stretches, and then they're like, oh God, what did I do? Why did I eat that burrito instead of eating that
Yeah.
salad that morning,
Yeah.
that lunchtime, and then you get the stomach cramps. So like, did you like when you first did you got your first match? Like, did you know that you were gonna be in this business now for like a while, or did you feel were you still like,
Um, like obviously it's your first match, so it's not going to be perfect. Um, so looking back at it, I'm very critical of myself. So I was super just critical of everything, but just being in the ring in general feels great to me. So even if it wasn't like my best, I still I knew after that I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do.
yeah? So if my fans from like England and overseas, they're just like getting to know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stuff are they in for if they're looking you up on YouTube or whatever? What kind of moves and fun stuff that you do?
Mm, I like to try to have like a mix of everything just because like our coaches are a mix of everything. So I personally am a big fan of like grappling or chain wrestling. Like I really love it. Or just like any type of like power move or something. But I'm personally a big fan of like grappling. It's kind of one of my favorite things. And I just want to implement that more into my wrestling. My I would say like my big move so far is like a kind of like a rainmaker. I don't know. It's like I personally love it. Can't go wrong with like a clothesline, but like, you know, a lariat, you gotta love it. So definitely that's some stuff they'll see in my matches.
Awesome. Have you ever like had any inspiration to like travel abroad, like throughout the country, or like eventually go out overseas to like England or France or when they're in Italy like that?
Yeah. I don't have a passport yet, but eventually when that happens, I would love to just like travel. I feel like you just get the best experience from traveling and you learn so much. So like whether it's around the country or if it's like out of the country, which I've never been, I would love to go like to England, Japan, just Mexico, anywhere, honestly, just be able to get that experience in.
Hmm. That, that's good. That's good to know because you're such a young wrestler, and then you really do want to travel. Um, so here we go. These are the fun questions. Um, do you collect anything?
No, I when I was younger, I used to collect like those like WWE magazines, and
Hmm.
my mom still like she lives out in DC and she has them, and I'm always like she's like, oh, like can I throw these away? I'm like, no, like even though I don't even live there, I can't. I'm like, don't touch them. leave them where they are. You cannot touch them. I've had them for years. I haven't even seen them for years, but I'm like, no, you can't touch them. Sorry. So probably those magazines.
You're gonna think this is crazy, and if your mom's watching this, I'm so sorry, ma'am. There's a wrestling promotion in New Jersey called ISPW, and he actually has an old school wrestling store, and he sells like the old WWF
Mm-hmm.
magazines.
She's always like, "Do you want? Can I stop?" I'm like, "No, no." I'm like, "Don't
You're gonna
touch
have to search this store out because they have like old school WWF, like the Honky Tonk Man's on it, the Warrior. You remember the old WWF
Yeah.
magazines? Yes, they have those in mint condition, so the picture's clear. And oh man, you'd be like, Mom, I'm so sorry. I got a new
I,
box.
and then just like send it off to her. Like I even used to collect those like cups that they would sell at like 7-Eleven. I would have a bunch of those like WWE cups, whether it was like SummerSlam or something like that. I still have those at home. I'm like, don't touch those either. They're probably disgusting, but I'm like, don't touch those either.
Yeah. It's good to collect stuff because like right now I'm looking at I have three pops, I'm like doing four or five, like I have the six of them. The three of them will never leave their boxes. They'll always stay in their
Mm-hmm.
boxes. I got Rey Mysterio, well, formerly Zack Ryder, Million Dollar Man DiBiase, and I got the one, the only, the Walrus. Sorry, Paul. I got Paul Heyman right now, but the ECW Paul. But
Oh, cool.
yeah, those are the ones I'll never leave the boxes. And I have a pin pop. I don't know if have you seen these yet.
I've not seen those before.
That is a pin pop. That's
Okay,
actually a
cool.
pin. That's a pin of a pop of the Ultimate Warrior. Yeah. So the week of a wrestling show, my pin pop keeps falling. Now, technical difficulties. Now, the week of a show.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like for you? Like your normal schedule?
Um, so like it's kind of hard to focus sometimes on that specific thing just because it's like I have work and then I also um like I try to always like I'll do like the gym during that week once or twice, try to eat well during that week. But usually it all starts to like hit when it's the day of the show and it's just like wake up early, do a little journaling, meditating, stuff like that, get myself together, get to the show really early, help out in any way that I can. And then just from there, it's just like ideas flowing, thinking of things that I can do in the match. But like the week of, I just want to make sure I'm like eating well or I'm resting well, resting my body well, or just like um, going to the gym and different things like that.
So, what would you say your go-to food is, like before or after a wrestling show?
So before, I honestly try not to eat much, depending on the time between of like when I get there, um, and when the show starts. But I try not to eat much. So if it's like maybe like a protein bar or like some rice cakes or something like that, something small and like an energy drink. But after, I'm like Taco Bell, like where are you? I need something like greasy after like the show and after the match. I'm like, now that it's done and I can rest, I need something big and greasy to eat. Taco Bell, where are you? McDonald's, anything like that.
Like for me, I try not to go. Like I go to a show because I just recently went to PPW in Slatington, and like if you ever go there just to watch the shows, they have a food court and they have like
Mm-hmm.
sushi, they have pizza, they got burgers, gyros. It's like a delicacy. I'm like, oh my god, everything, ice cream, coffee. So like in closing, if there was any young male or female that wanted to get into the wrestling business, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say to hmm, me personally, I would say to like make sure you are at least mentally ready because I know that kind of stopped me the first time when I started training. I just was like going through a lot and I didn't want to. that's why I took my first break and like wanted to focus on school and different things like that. And even after school, when I started training at Fallout, I took a nice like 6 month break because mentally I just wasn't in the right place. So like always make sure mentally I feel like you're in the right place. Just because personally when it happened to me, I didn't want to affect like anyone around me that I was training with in any type of like negative way. Um, Also, I would say make sure you're in the gym and like just be make sure you're coachable and you're open to like criticism, but just make sure you're having fun and it's something that like you are really enjoying. And if you feel like it's something you want to do, go for it. Like obviously take your time, but definitely go for it. If you're not ready, then don't push yourself to feel like you have to start. But when you are ready, go for it. Find the place that fits you best and just, you know, sign up, research it and go for it. Yeah.
So if my fans would like to buy like merch from you, where can they find it?
So currently, I don't have any merch, but I am working on something. So hopefully, by the end of the month, I will have something on like along the lines of like stickers or a shirt. Um, I do have a link tree that just has like all my information in terms of like Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, YouTube. So that would be the best way to support me at the time. But hopefully by the end of the month, fingers crossed, I have everything set up for people to buy.
So if anybody that's watching this wants to follow you on social media, how can they find you?
Yeah, so my Instagram and my Twitter are under the name Mia's World, which is MEYASWRLD. And then my YouTube, which hopefully I can get some matches uploaded on there soon, is under Destiny Haze, DESTINYHAZE. And then all that will be like all that information is in a link tree in my bios for my Instagram and my Twitter.
Awesome. Destiny, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It really means a lot. I want to wish you all the best in your journey with this awesome wrestling world that we all choose to watch because we know it's going to be hard to like eventually when we're all old and we're like, "I remember when we had Destiny on the podcast?" Yeah. She's an awesome wrestler. I'm Joe Panther the Third,
This is Destiny Hayes.
and we will catch you in the next one. Good night, everybody.